Right, welcome back to the channel, guys. Now, I can't believe it already. We're through January, so what this is all going to be about is my fishing in January. There's only 3 matches to catch up on, and one of them are filmed for you, so there's a live match footage in this video as well. So I won't bore you too long because I know a lot of people and they've gone down really well as a live match footage on this channel. So the first match actually fished was like the first weekend of Jan. I think it was the 5th, and it's when we had that sort of like snowy weather. So first match was Phil Coventry's Weston Winter League sort of thing. Is running for a year of 4 years, I think it was. Now I was lucky enough to win it 2 second times. So was it 2000 and I can't think when it was. But yeah, lucky enough to win it back then. So it's a great league over 4 lakes: Weir, Stretton, Canal and Belvedere. 48. I think there's a little bit less this year, but yeah, I really do look forward to fishing that. So first of all, got in the bag. Now we had ice leading up to it. We've had bad weather. It was a bit rubbish weather, so I think Weston had done a brilliant job. They left the aerators on to clear him. Now personally, I don't think that helps. I'd rather it freeze and be cancelled or break the ice, and I'm not a fan of breaking ice because I just think what's the point? But yeah, Weston did a great job of getting the match to go ahead by leaving the aerators on, but this really could be detrimental to your fishing where you draw, because obviously the areas move cold water. The fish just go like breeze blocks, and it's quite hard to catch. So I drew 4 on Weir, which it's not. It had a little bit of form the week before when there was a few feeding fish about, but I thought there was a little bit of room maybe. But the only problem there is the paddler comes right in line where you want to fish, but it's one of them. It's like same for everyone in the league. So literally, I just set up. I took a little bomb rod with me just to chuck like 20 yards, because you can't really chuck any further than that. If you get near the aerator, people get upset and you can't go near it anyway. So yeah, little bomb rod for like 20 meters. I set up a pole line at 16 left and right, so into the space to the right, and it in front of me if to get a bite. And I set up a dobbin rig as well, so probably like 3 foot deep. Now it's not going to take long, this one, because I only actually have 3 bites. So I've gone in, flicking around a dobbin rig, just 2 maggots on a little dobbin rig, flicking around. The next minute I've seen like probably like 18-19 meters out, there's just some like little pimples and fizzing. It's like obviously a ball of fish. And I've just flicked towards it as close as I can with my 16 meter, and it's gone straight away. So I've had like a fish first 10 minutes. Now I was probably winning that lake. This is how hard it was. I was winning that lake for probably 2 and a bit hours because no one had a bite. And then it started snowing. I've literally just thought, right, I'm not sitting with my pole there with the snow. So I've literally just chucked the bomb and maggot. Alex on peg 9 in my sections. He's had 2 or 3 fish by this. Phil on 7's lost 1. So they're in my section. So I'm thinking, second in section, not bad at the minute. It can't see anyone catching anything. Chucked the bomb, caught 1 on that as well. So now I've got 2 fish. Then I've caught a skimmer. So I thought, right, well, might be getting an odd bite here. If we can just get 1 or 2 more fish, I think I could get to 10 or 12 pound, and that would have been enough to win the section. But it's so weird. It started to snow, and then the snow landed on the water, and it's literally just froze the lake. Now, further up, Alex and stuff, they had to mess around breaking the ice, so they broke a little channel early in the match. That's where it's come across to me in the end. And it's just one of them days. I really didn't want to be sat there in the snow, but I think ended up, Phil caught a few late. Alex ended up winning the section with £9. Phil had £9. I've had £5. So 3rd in section. Not the best start, but he's done droppers this year, so that's probably going to, hopefully, be my dropper because of 3rd place. Now, 2 weeks later, I didn't fish the week after. 2 weeks later, gone back for the second round. So the weather was terrible. We had some really bad weather in January. I wasn't very well, so I got that lurgy, and I shouldn't have really gone, to be honest. But I drew 15 on Weir, which is a nice little peg, because obviously I feel like 16 in the middle of the lake, that's where the fish congregate a lot. But because I was 15, there's a rope to my right, but there's not an angler to my right. There's only an angler on peg 10. So knowing what I know from obviously making mistakes in the festival and stuff, I just set up a Waggler, a maggot feeder, and a long pole. That's it. Started on the Waggler, like I do, little peacock Waggler, 3AA, dead light, dead nice float these. Just 3A, peacock waggler, just chucking it out with just 2 maggots on, hoping obviously to get just to dob a few fish if there's any out there. Gone out and I've like sat there and it's just like slid away and I thought, have I overshotted that? Struck nothing. Like next one I thought, dropped it in front of me. No, shotted fine, chucked it back out. Next chuck, got an F1. So I've had one of them red letter days which you can get on weir on the Waggler. There's been a few fish sitting in between me and Glenn. Glenn was next to me. Now he comes down with a few lads and he's probably the best in that van, which he told me to say because he wanted to shower. But he's fished next to me, but he's not chucked the Waggler early, which I feel like if he did, he would have really beat me because the way he caught late on, I've got lucky really because if the weather wasn't as bad, I think he'd have chucked that Waggler straight away and gone straight out and fishing. So yeah, just chucked the Waggler between 3 foot and fishing on the bottom. Now I like fishing on the bottom because I feel like you can just drag it, let it sit there. It's less commotion than the bottom. Now a lot of people are fishing bombs and feeders on weir, which I don't feel like. When the Waggler's right, you can just tell you don't get any small fish, you don't get any nuisance fish, you just catch quality fish. So I caught on the Waggler on the bottom. 3 or 4 maggots on the bottom was best. 2 was best shallow, or like 3 foot deep. They even had something like 2.5 foot deep later on because I caught some. I think what happened was some carp started to like obviously eat the bait later on, and Glenn caught really well further out. So I've just literally just tried to persevere where I can. Not try and get too close to him, but just try and chuck it in my peg, and then next minute I've just like gone 3 foot again because I was fishing on the bottom, and I've caught like 4 or 5 carp, which has got me over the line. I've had £86, so £86, which was second in the match. Jamie, who's won the match on 33 belv, he had £90 on 33 belv was like the old 32. I don't know, it's moved up per peg because it's in the corner. He's got up £90, so we got a section win for that one. Forgot to say the first match is won by Kieran Smith. He was on 3 jacks. He had £44, which was a good weight to be fair for that day because it was so cold and icy. There's so many, threw a spanner in the works, especially with the dropper as well, because there's a lot of people now that can't afford to do too bad. So yeah, they were the 2 matches which I can talk about. So Winter League, we've obviously got 4 points going into that. Nice to get like a section win and getting the frame in places. I do like to do that once or twice in the league. I feel like just nice to get in them frame in places. But yeah, the Waggler fishing, dead simple. Just a little inserted peacock, just with 3AA for shallow, and then I didn't have my 2 rods with me, but I like to fish a 5A on the bottom. But I just move that up and down. It just says moving it around. And then just simply like a couple of shot down the line and then the pre-tied GPM base for 013 on the hook length. Now, one thing that's coming really apparent at Weston, and obviously these vlogs are going to be sort of like where I'm fishing at the moment, but is pellets are so important. I'll try and find you some. Where are they? Got some from them. Pellets are becoming really important, so I wasn't keen on these at first when they first come in. But then, I think it was last year when I started fishing pellets shallow, the fish really wanted to eat them. And I actually said to Jamie, I think last year, I was like, they really like eating these pellets. They actually like, Weston have changed the pellets like an Ali Aqua pellet. So they're the 3 mils. So pellets are becoming really important at Weston. So this live match footage was a little bit of a tester. I wanted to go and see and try and catch some feeding fish because I worked it out. The last 4 matches at Weston, I probably only caught £15 out of like 200 odd of feeding, which is not ideal if I draw a lake where I need to feed, because I like to know how much amount to feed, what hook bait's the best, what hook, get my rigs right. So I thought, right, I had a free weekend, the chance to go up to Weston and fish a match, and it was a really enjoyable learning day. So I'm gonna head over to the live match now. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, hit that like and subscribe button, and I hope you enjoy the live match, and I'll see you obviously on the next vlog. Right, morning everyone. Now today I'm going to Weston Pools for just a Sunday Open, just because I actually worked it out. The last 4 matches at Weston, I've probably only ever caught, I've had some good weights, but I've only ever caught dobbing. So hopefully I've got a free weekend, no no leagues or anything, so I want to have a go and fish with pellets. It's becoming important at Weston this winter, and the last thing you want to do is just get left behind. I've got the Winter League next week, so if I do draw a peg with some feeding fishing, I want to understand and try and see if I can catch him. So I'm going to take you along with me. So my bait today is dead simple. It is. Just got some expanders in there. Just literally got some 2mm Sonia baits and some normal formal expanders. I've soaked some of the fishery feed pellets up, 3mm, just left them in the fridge overnight, covered them. 2 slices of the old bread, and I've got some maggots as well. So, dead simple approach. I'm going to get my gear in my van now, get down to the fishery, see where we draw. Hopefully, if we draw a dobbin stack, we draw a dobbin stack, but hopefully I can draw a peg where I can just tap some pellets, see if we can try and understand and see how work it out. But I'm going to take you along with me for this month's sort of like live matchy thing. Western pools, we're going for a little practice, hopefully catching a load of fish on these. This is more than enough, by the way, probably last everyone for the whole match because we're not going to be feeding much. But yeah, we've got the armoury there. Let's get it in the van and get to the peg or match and see where we draw. Right, so we've got 10 minutes before the start, so I've drawn peg 46 on canal, which I've always wanted to go recently in the winter, just because it's a little bit narrower and it doesn't give you too many options. So here's the peg. Dead simple tray. I've just got some pellets there, some maggots there, some pellets there, and a couple of slices of bread. Now, the only thing is peg 44's in on the end, so that just stops me going too far. But what I'm going to think is I'm going to try and dob across there, have a little dob across there, feed some maggots down the middle, eat left and right 30 metres, and then I'm probably going to start across on pellets just to see if I can catch anything on it, and if not, I've got a little maggot rig set up as well. But yeah, I'm going to have a little go on pellets, just probably like 14.5 there, right, a little bit across, but obviously have a dob up and down, see if I can try and nick a carp. But it's going to be it's going to be hard to try and catch enough. I feel like maybe there's areas of the lake which should be better, but if we're fishing for £40, then it could be a different sort of day. Could sort of like catch some carp. If I can catch like 15 to £20 a carp, then a little late run, and no one really on that side, I'm going to loose feed it quite aggressively, so no one really been down here. He didn't weigh in on Friday, but Gaz is on it there. He said he made a few mistakes, so I feel like there's a few fish about, but just got to try and make the most of it. Hopefully I can catch some fish dobbing. That's been so important these past couple of weeks. That's really important, but not to feed too much too early, and just focus, trying to put some bait down the middle. So I'm going to kindle everything down the middle there, probably like last 90 minutes job. I'm going to have a look at that, and then I'm going to loose feed that way, just see if I can draw anything, because I've got a bit of room that way, there's no one there. So yeah, dobbing across, and then if that doesn't go to plan after say an hour or 40 minutes and I feel like I need to tap some pellets in, I've got some, I'll just be dead patient with pellets and see how we get on. So I'm going to get my nets in, get chucked in, and then I'll catch up for you in the match. Right, so we're just an hour and 10 in the match now, and that's my third bigger fish now. I've probably got like 8 or 9 pound. I've got 2 big F1s and then a little carp as well, about 2.5 pound. Now the only place I can really get bites at the minute is dobbing across to the left hand as far as I can get towards peg 44. Now I know on this peg, say if it was pegged 42, that all my fish are going to be to my left. That's the way it is on this peg. It's just all the fish sit to your left, but with that angler being on 44, it just makes feel like a little bit boxed in. But that's the only place I can really get a bite dobbing at the minute. Obviously I haven't caught anything in front of me dobbing. I haven't spent too much time there. Now what I've done as well is I started to loose feed that that right hand side as well, just because I feel like I'm not really going to catch anything that way. That like, I don't feel like any of the fish, I feel like all the fish are that way. Gaz sitting on the end peg, oh not the end of the point. He's caught probably like 7 or 8 fish now dobbing. Oh, that's a bite now. No, I couldn't really get it. I tried to dob on a single maggot. I just missed a load of bites, and then I've gone a little bit deeper. But I just put a bit of bread on just to see. Just gone to like 3.5 foot and just putting a 6mm punch on, just to see if I can linger there. And the fish I have caught they've been the bigger stamp. They've not been them little fish which I caught on peg 2. They've been like proper F1s and carp. Come on, not right. Any problem? Don't put it on, mate. Just come off. I'll just have a little look on. Could we keep that one? Now, that's why I like fishing maggots. Just feel like a bit more fishing with bread. Once it starts to come off, it's a bit of a nightmare. That's why I just like to rip a bit off, keep it as fresh as I can. But yeah, it's not been. I don't feel like we're gonna do amazing today, but I just feel like it's gonna be one of them days where we're gonna learn a bit about the pegs. Now, obviously, this time of year, I've seen it before now. When you're on the fish, it's dead simple to catch them dobbing. But for me to catch like where I am now is like 16 metres right on my peg. It's just a little bit too far for my liking. See indication there straight away. Now, I'm a bit and ahhing where how deep to fish. I had a little go 2.5 foot deep, never had a sign. 3 foot obviously missed a few bites, but I was fishing with single maggot and there might have been a few roach about. Gone 3.5 and I do get the odd sign, but obviously I've done 2 fish dead really quick. Roach. So that might be the case, there might be an odd roach there. So now the only beauty of it is I can dob with this 3.5 foot. I'm just going to put a maggot back on. Probably won't get one now, I've come on camera. Now the beauty of just having a little bit deeper is I think I have had an odd sign of a fish like down the shelf, so not fishing it tight across, probably fishing it 1 metre or 2 off the bank. And Gaz is coming towards me a little bit, which is a good thing. Might send some fish back. Yeah, just take half a section off, so just halfway down a 16 metre, and just have a little flick there. I don't feel like all the fish are dead tight across. I feel like the majority of the fish are sitting like on that little crease. This is the beauty about having a maggot on now. If I was catching carp and I knew where they were in the same hole and just down one hole all the time, I'd probably put a bit of bread on. But with it being a bit scatty and having to move around and lay my rigging a lot, that's been key. And I just feel like a single maggot's a little bit better. Obviously there's an odd roach feeding, which to me says dobbing's not going to be the way, but like anything at the minute here, I'm just a bit reluctant to feed the thing because I've not really caught much feeding. Now I do feel like fishing pellets across could be a good shout, because obviously, well, that's a sail away that one. Could be a good shout just because there's so many sort of roach feeding. But that's why I've started to loose feed that aggressively, sort of like a throwaway line. And then what I'll start to do as soon as I feel like there's not many dobbing fish across, I can literally just pot some maggots at that 13 metre line, basically where I'm pointing now. And that's where I've caught really well in the past on this peg. Indication then. It's typical, I had 2 and 2 chucks, and as soon as you turn the camera on, it goes a bit weird and iffy, but so I'll work my way back out. I just feel like just feel at the minute like there is an odd fish to my left, whether it be just down that shelf or across in that shallow water, but I'll flick right across. It's quite hard to catch them, there's no consistency to it, as well like when I've dobbed them before in the past. Obviously, you have a nice little consistent run of them, but that's the thing, if I'm fishing at the limit of my peg, any fish that drift out, they drift away from me and I can't get to them. So it might become a little bit like spelly, where you get like 2 or 3 quick, or 1 or 2, and then you go back in, nothing, and the fish just drift there. But obviously, because I've got an angler there where Gaz is, if he starts to hook a few more fish, obviously I don't feel like I'm going to catch up. I'd need a really good run somewhere, but he might send a few fish that way. And if I don't feed across there, straight like where I'm fishing now, it might be a nice little safe haven. Just trying to put fish in the net all the time, but it's so hard to do when the fish don't want to open their mouths and you can't really do anything feeding. You feel a bit helpless, but it's the way it is. It's winter. Sometimes, like that last Sunday, I literally just chucked the Waggler out with 2 or 3 maggots on it, went under every single time. This time I'm having to really work for some bites. Just trying to creep as close as I can to that left hand side of my peg. See, that's that. I feel like them little indications are sort of like roach. Might be the case, might have to come back in a minute. Sort of like put a pot on, tap some pellets in across, see if you get a sign or two. That's the thing with pellets, they are quite instant. So if I'm going to get any signs and indications on them, they will be quite quick. It won't be sort of like I have to build my peg up there. That's fine. To build my peg up. See, every fish has run to the left when I've hooked it as well. Stuck in my trolley. I feel like this is a little carp, one of them ones that I caught last time. But yeah, that's what's going on at the minute. It's quite tricky to catch him. Started feeding that right hand line just for somewhere to have a little drop on. You never know. You might find it because there's a little bit of space to my right. The fish sort of sit there. How's that? Talking rubbish. That's another proper fish, that one. So, see, it might be worth just staying on this. Try and catch 10 fish there. Proper one, that one. Give you £20, and then obviously it's still early days at the minute. But I feel like it's still early days. Let's see, we're gonna dog. It's weird as well. It's like I got to I think I had like 20-minute spell. I didn't catch anything, and I just got a sign right by that little, like an overhanging branch or something. I had a little sign there, and then when I flick past, that's where I've had my bites. What I might do is we'll try and build up to that. So, sort of like down the shelf sort of thing. Flick it that, and then what you find is you do get signs and indications when you get near the fish. Just because I feel like I am on the edge of them. Obviously I knew that was going to be the case, but when I drew I didn't realise 44 was in. So it might help me in a way, try and catch a few more, just because he might be able to send some back that are trying to get away from him that come towards me. But I thought I'd catch like these little stocky carp. But I haven't. I've caught obviously you've seen that proper F1. That's a bite then. Woo, it's a bit dramatic striking. So I mean, if I can work my way out to that, if I can dob a couple of fish there. A lot of the fish I'm catching are not like tight to the bank. Might be a little roach, that one actually. I'll keep flicking it in. So yeah, I'm being quite aggressive. Loose feed hasn't been the way to catch them recently, but I just feel like what's tapping in 10 maggots going to do. Just need to feel like I need to do something. It's a little bit warmer today than it has been. So we don't really get many roach on that other spot, but anywhere else you get like a little plucks and signs. Don't get me wrong, there might be F1s and carp, but I'm just going to go past that branch. Make sure the rig is so straight in that direct. Keep everything intact. So yeah, Gaz is having a nice little run across there. Strange, he's catching them like quite tight. So just gonna, it's always the case, just worth trying a little bit close to in case the fish will come past. So I don't know what stamp of fish he's catching, but I'm trying to flick that right close to that hair. Be surprised now if I get to that little area now where I'm fishing. Just shoot under and fly under. It's the problem as well when you're trying to flick it everywhere. It's a little bit of a delay when you're striking and stuff, as well. If you got control and say like the fish are in the peg here and a bit shorter piece of line, get them right on top of your float, and any little dinks and indications you can catch them that way. But see, them fish I've caught have been off the bank. That's what I'm thinking now. We've got obviously 4 fish. It is just over nearly an hour and a half in. So it's not an ideal situation to be in. You'd want probably like, I think Gaz has got like 10 fish maybe, but I feel like maybe you just need to have a little look on a pellet line across, just to see if that is the case. Obviously I've been feeding that loose feeding line. I can pop that line to my left, where down the middle, where I feel like it's going to be the best chance of any fish down the middle. But for now, this is... Oh, that was a bite there. So this, I've just stopped getting as many signs and indications as I was hoping. That little fishing a little bit deeper just gives me a few indications, which gives you the chance to work with. But so if I do feel like I'm missing the odd bite and I feel like there's a roach in the peg, I can either put a bit of bread on or just try double maggot and just leave it there. That's a roachy bite, that one. So yeah, that's where we're at the minute. Just keep trying to nick an odd fish, try and keep in contention, but I feel like the peg's sort of like, it's not strong enough at the minute. The place where we're catching, just don't feel like it's going to be good enough to put a massive weight together the way we're catching it. If it's going every single time, don't get me wrong, or you're getting regular bites and runs, then I feel like that could be the best way. But the thing is, I could drop in on pellets and get them stamped fish and just get an odd bite. There might be the occasion in the last hour and a half you might catch 10 fish down the middle, and if they're a big stamp then you never know. But that's the thing at the minute with that dobbin. It's obviously I've had them 3 fish really quickly off that spot, probably in the last half an hour or so, but it's took me ages to get to that. Obviously missing a few bites, maybe I'm fishing a little bit too deep. But you just got to try and keep working the rig, trying to find some fish. Probably waffling on a bit now, but I feel like I might get to that point where I need to feed something across, just because there's not really any fish in my peg, like sort of in front of me dobbing, so I'm not really gonna, I don't like feeding when I am dobbing, just because I feel like it spooks the fish and it won't settle in your peg and it might not get a little better run. But it's getting to the point now where dobbing's not as strong as I'd hoped. It's the line, it was like a dead weird line. It's not got to the strongest point that I hoped, so I feel like just tapping a bit of bait in might be the only way, just to see if we can get some bites. Then you'd be surprised as well, you can dob some bait around, feel like there's nothing. I just feel like because I've been dobbing, I've had no signs other than probably past that tree there. And you can get to the point where you feel like there's not any fish in your peg, but you'd be surprised if I tap some bait in. Tap some bait in. You could quite easily catch one across on pellets, so we'll end on this fish. So what I might do is, obviously after this, just have a little dob again along that far bank, see if there is any fish about, but I wonder what this is. I think this is this is the one which I thought I'd catch, little carp. Yep, nice little fish. But yeah, I've got 5 fish now, probably like £10, so not too bad, but it's quite difficult to try and catch him, so. But it is winter and it's not all about emptying it all the time, it's about trying to work your peg and work your line, so I'll come back when obviously, hopefully, I might be catching dobbing still, but I reckon it'll be catching, feeding, hopefully putting the odd fish in there. Right, so you join us with just under an hour and a half left. And it's been a bit of a strange one. I've not really caught many more dobbing. I've had an odd fish on bread, just flicking it as far as I can to the left. And then I've literally just gone on my pellets before, just getting an odd line biting stuff on him, and then all of a sudden I've just gone on it and I've caught 3 little stocky F1s and then that carp there, or little F1, just tapping in a few pellets, the tiny little 2mm fin perfect on the hook. So only problem is this wind's coming across the peg now, but it's going. Obviously I don't think we're going to do well in the match because I feel like guys next to me, and I've heard other people are catching around the lake, but it's all about, I want to try and learn as much as I can to try and fish pellets, and obviously catching fish is going to be the most important thing to learn. Now I feel like I've been on a few fish when I've been dobbing in the past, so I feel like I know what I need to do on that. So, but I have had a look on this right hand line, loose feeding, and I did prick an F1, which I feel like maybe just a bit too much bait there, a little bit too early. Just literally, I've only just gone on that line, just lost the fish, so I just feel like I might have gone a little bit too early, but there's a good sign as an odd fish there. So now it's just about managing the peg, and what I have done as well is I've opened up a pellet line where I've been dobbing, so 16 metres to my left, just in the same depth. All I did is put the plummet on, just went across just to find that depth of water. I'm just going to fish in there, so I put a few pellets in there, not many, 10 or 12, just to the 3mm from the fishery here, and I'm just fishing either a little expander or one of them 2mm expanders from Sonia baits, just so we can get them on the hook, and they sort of like match the pellet which you're feeding, the right size. So what I don't want to do is feed like 30 or 40 of them pellets and put loads in. Mine's not going to stand out, so I just want to feed enough just to try and get a fish in the peg. Obviously fish go down and pick it up, but it's a good sign we're getting bites, and it's right in front of me as well, which, like I said before, I didn't feel like there was many fish in my peg. I felt everything was to my left. Now Gaz who's catching, he's just catching dobbing to the area. There's nothing you can do about that. So I'm just going to set ourselves a little target, try and get to like 35 to 40 pound now. So I've probably got 22, 23 pound maybe. So we're not too far away. If you can get a little run on pellets, and then still been feeding my track lines on maggots, and I know maggots don't seem right at the minute on this venue, but I always think if they do start eating them on the bottom, you can get a nice little run, and if they are the better stamped fish as well, and you put a nice little run together. One thing I have to be with this pellet fishing is really, really patient. Trying to keep my rig still at all times. I'm fishing on a little shelf there, so if I come too close to myself, I'll be off the shelf, and if I go too far, it'll be too much on the bottom, and I have pricked a fish as well, which caused me to not have a bite for a while. This wind isn't easterly blowing across now, so it's not ideal. But that's what we're faced with. We're getting an odd bite on pellets. I'll try and get one for you on camera so it's not too boring. But that's how the match is going. It's not one of them matches where like it's gone plain sailing and then we're gonna frame or we're gonna thingy. I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like, oh, it's a bite. I feel like the peg, guys, this peg's a little bit too strong, and obviously there's other people catching around the lake, so just want to take my time. Just got a 16 XFS on, 18 sorry, 010. Just because I can get a little pellet on that nice and easy, not too big of a hook. Just feels a bit bigger fish actually. Try and get this one in. But yeah, that's been going. It's actually been quite enjoyable. I'm just like work out quite a lot. Obviously, I feel like if it was pegged a little bit different, which it is on the Winter League, I feel like you'd be really doing well in this section because obviously you can catch to your left, but obviously guys are sat where them fish feel like a dobbing fish, and obviously you won't be able to get to them next week. And don't get me wrong, if you haven't seen my video of my latest vlog of December, come on, what's this here? Thanks a little carp. December, I actually drew that peg too, and it was absolutely solid. It's a little carp. So I can imagine why he's catching a few fish there. But like you say, that's the thing with match fishing, you've got to take your draws and try and learn as much as you can. It's a nice carp, that one actually. Ooh. Learn as much as you can. Can't get him. Can grab him. Hook's popped out. 3-pounder, which is a nice surprise. Yeah, that's what we're doing at the minute. Just a tiny little pellet on the hook. Nice and robust. Just a few pellets in the pot. Not too many. Try and be nice and still when I'm shipping out, but I have been feeding that left-hand line down the middle quite regular. But it's just nice to get some bites on pellets. It's been, when you have been catching fish feeding on around this venue, that's what most people have been catching on, which is strange because normally it's just maggots and it's dead simple fishing, loose feed. Last year you caught a few fish shallow and stuff, but this year it just seems to be a little bit different. It just shows you don't know everything. Sometimes going out on the bank and having a little go with it just gives you the confidence. So if you do end up on a few fish, like say next week I drew this peg again, that's a line in it, I'd have a lot of confidence with fishing pellets, and that's what it's all about, making the most. Making the most, so when you do get your chance, that was a bite again. See, I've got it dotted to a pimple. Ooh, dotted to a pimple, that's nice. Yeah. Sound like a parrot. I've got it dotted to a pimple, just literally lifting a tiny bit every time the float moves, and nice big shot. So 4x16 F1 pellet, number 8's band me up, 4-inch hook length. Like I said, 18s and 010, just nice and soft and delicate. Just take your time. Fish wants to run, let him run. I do think it's important not to fish too light of elastic, just because you can't, not like maggots where you can strike and set the hook dead easy. With pellets, just a tiny little lift, so I feel like you need that resistance of elastic to obviously get that hook set properly. But like I said, that's a nice little fish. I'm just going to change my hook because I don't like the look of that. But say it's just nice to get, oh, that's not the right hook, out. Pick the 6-inch instead of 4. There you are, that's what we want, 4-inch 010 XFS, because obviously I can't say it normally. Really tight shirt button style shotting, dead close to the hook, That's what we're trying to achieve with it. Don't want to. Now, sorry to interrupt the video, but don't forget to like and subscribe. It just helps with the channel, and I'll let you get back to the rest of the video now. Make sure the pellet's on, because obviously it's quite a small pellet. A few pellets in your pot. Nice and still. That's a nice quick response that there was when we fed. That's the ideal scenario. So what I'm looking for with this pellet fishing now is get myself lined up, tap some pellets in, just lift my rig up because it's quite a heavy rig, so it'll follow it in. Lift it up, count on my head roughly to 10. Everything will go straight. Once everything's straight, just drop it down in position and then fish you straight away. I've got a back shot probably 5 inch away, 6 inch away from, 4 or 5 inch away from me, float. The bubble just come up then next to it. Just try and keep that loose feed line fed. So I know it doesn't seem right at the minute, but obviously that's the place where I could easily put £15 that last half an hour in. I don't feel like pellets, it's too steady for that. Pellet fishing, it's never like that frantic where you catch really, really quick. It's just a nice way of ticking along. So just try and catch one more, but so I've got another line as well to my left where I have dobbed some bigger fish, so maybe being patient with pellets there might be a bit easier, but every time I've fed where I've dobbed recently, it's been like repellent, so I do get a few signs before I do actually hook one, but I think that's just generally just because your float's dotted down so much. If anything knocks them shots or comes into your peg, I think you see it. So if you had a bit more bristle showing, you'd be able to read your bristle a little bit easier, but I feel like when you've got them small pellets on and this sort of like time of year, you've just got to take it as it is with that. Give it a little lift and drop. Make sure it's in position. Last thing I'd want as well is like 4 foot deep there, so I wouldn't want like a 4x12 just because it's a bit faffy and it might take a while to get to the bottom. I know it seems nice from resistance and that's perfect for maggot fishing, but with this pellet fishing you just want everything down on the bottom, nice and positive, so when them fish suck that bait in, obviously you get a nice positive indication. The last thing you want is for your rig to not help you and work with you. So it may seem quite positive. That's an indication then, lifting the rig up a little bit. It may seem really, really positive, but that's the thing. You're going to need it in them scenarios. So, but this is what it might have been like. You catch a fish or two and then just have to let them regather and come back in the peg. That's what I mean. It's not like frantic where it's a bite then. Frantic where we're getting a bite every single chuck. Just get that bait in the peg. That's the beauty as well. If you do like, obviously you're getting a little rhythm of just lifting, lower it back down. Obviously the heaviness of your rig just going to make it a lot easier to present your rig quicker. Before, obviously, I think I laid my rig back in or dropped my rig back in, I had a bite like 5 seconds after. If you think your rig's trying to catch up, or if there's any bait there falling through the water and it's just catching up, you might interfere with the fish and obviously foul hook them and lose them, which it shows where I had a prick to fish before, just because maybe I fed a little bit too much bait or they were quite hard to catch up the shelf. Just interfere with it and it wasn't right. It took a while for them to come back and they spooked. See, that's a sign then. Shouldn't have really struck at that, but it's a good thing there's a sign there. I wonder if I've got any pellets in my pot. No. Could be a thing if I feel like gets more and more busier, I might have to sprinkle some pellets in. So what I mean by that is I'm going to put my medium pot on with like my different holes in. So it just allows me to fill my pot, say half full, probably put like 20-30 pellets in and just be able to rattle in probably 8 to 10 at a time. Just create something falling through the water and just can draw a fish in your peg. As where at the minute I'm just putting one hit of bait in, dropping my rig in, and that's how I've been catching them. But for now, especially if I want to bounce between 2 lines without coming back and refeeding all the time, then that could be a good little way of just sprinkling some bait in. So what you might find is there might be nothing on the bottom now, and there's obviously no reason why them fish to come to that baited area. Just see what goes on now. Wind stops getting through now, so it's so important to keep your rig still. Last thing you want is it moving through. It just doesn't seem as effective. What I might try now is to just try that other line. So come back. Just give it a quick try while we're on camera. See, pellet's still on. I put a fresh one on just in case it does wiggle off on the way out. Put the other pot on. It's a bit bigger pot, but obviously I can sprinkle more bait in. I can control how much bait, so I'm going to half fill it. This just enables me now, if my pellet stays on, I can have a little bit longer chucks than what I've been having. Obviously it doesn't rattle out as easy, so you can keep it nice and controlled. But I've only fed this once before, so it's a proper 16 and a dolly. So you got a short kitten, so it's not as far as what you think. So I'm just gonna. And the beauty of this is now I can count them pellets out, spin it back round, and if I need to, obviously I can drop back on the other line. So you might just on the little hump there, 4 foot deep. Obviously to the left of that is where I've caught dobbin, so don't feel like there is an odd fish there, so hopefully you can just catch them on pellets. I feel like if I did fish maggots I would get bitted out by some roach. Just feel that's the case, because obviously when I was dobbing maggots I was missing an odd bite off a roach, and when I wasn't on fill before I was a bit more patient on bread, and that's when I caught a little bit better than I did when on maggots, just being patient, getting in line with that shelf, just catching the fish like that. Obviously I haven't been on this line, so I don't know what to expect. But I can bounce between the two and then obviously maybe drop in the middle lines in the last 40 minutes, then it might make it a bit easier, but keep that fed. I'm being quite aggressive and probably a little bit too aggressive for what the sort of day is today on that line, but I just feel like I've got nothing to lose there. It's quite deep. I feel like any fish there needs to draw any fish there. It's making it hard. That wind's making it difficult to hold now. See, this is what you don't want. Moving your rig all the time. It's quite hard to hold it. The only problem when it blows an easterly on this peg, it just rips straight across it, which is the coldest wind you can get, so it's not the ideal scenario. Well, if I don't get a bite there, I can always drop on that other line. Probably feed a bit of bait again. So I've not had a sign indication on that line yet. Where I am now. Which could be a good thing, could just fly under. But the thing was, we were getting a few sign indications on the other line, which to me says it's a good thing, just because there's a fish in your peg and you've got something to work with. As where that there now, if it doesn't go under, what do? Do you leave it, or just going to have a look on that other line. A few pellets in your pot. So it might be a case we just needed to feed there again, but just see. That's the beauty of it. We tried that other line, didn't get any signs. Right, we'll just see if we can get one here. And then I think I'm going to drop on my maggot line and just see if I can catch anything there. Obviously it's been a while, and yeah, it's fine. It's a bit bare. I'm going to drop on my maggot line, I think, just try and catch one or two more on this. Ah, it's come on. Yeah, so drop on my maggot line, see if I can catch anything on that, and then I'll be back towards the end. Right, you join us with 18 minutes to go, and to be fair, since we've gone, it's been half okay. We've caught a cross on pellets, caught a few fish on that, and then I've had a couple on that right hand line on the bottom, and I've just dropped on this probably 10 or 12 minutes ago, and I've caught 4 fish on it. So just kindering like 15 to 20 maggots in, double on the hook, 4x12, just nice and patient fishing. I'm just getting little dinks and indications, and I've not loose fed anything this way. As with that right hand line, I loose fed it, but I just feel like it might have been a bit too aggressive, but it did draw a few fish in the peg. But the stamp of them has not been amazing short. Well, shorter down the middle, where I'm talking now, probably like pound and a quarter fish, but I can't moan. But me a cross fish, I did catch an odd like chunky carp, so what I mean by that is like a 2-3 pounder. I've had 3 or 4 of them, so they're going to boost the weight up, but I feel like it's fished a little bit well today, better than it has been, so that's a good sign of things picking up. But just one of them things whether I maybe should have just had a little dob early and then literally just tapped in some pellets and tried to catch on that a little bit quicker, because I could get some signs of fish in my peg, and wherever it just coincides with some fish feeding, I don't really know. But like I said, it's just nice to, obviously I don't feel like we're going to do any good in the lake. I feel like a few people will catch, but I do feel it's good to come and just like you learn a little bit and you get you ready for next week. So I need to tie some pellet rigs up, I need to tie some a bit lighter hook lengths up. I can still catch on maggots, obviously tie some hooks for your bread fishing and stuff, and maybe focus on bread a little bit more if that's the case, because that's been miles better than maggots today. But like the past few weeks, single maggot has been outscoring bread, so it can change all the time. Just depends on what the fish want to eat and what fish you got in your peg. But so we're just trying to be really patient on this line. I feel like there's no fish in your peg, and the next minute it just dinks 100 miles an hour. You've got a fish on, so just like the fish are coming in and out to that feed. And I could start loose feeding there, but I just feel like I might spread the fish out, and I want to keep everything nice and concentrated. Been getting quick bites when I've been catching them, but just about being nice and patient and like letting the fish come into the peg. Can't really force anything. That's one thing you can happen. Just because you're having a few bites, you think you can get the catapult out, start catapulting bait in, and it just doesn't seem to have as good a response. It does just being nice and patient, just tapping a bit of bait in. So it's get little runs of fish. That was a little sign. Get little runs of fish. So just 2 or 3 quickly, and then it's just like they spook off, and then you have to come back again. So if I miss another bite, I will come back and refeed, just because I don't know what bait's on the bottom. That's the first bite I've actually missed on that, so. what it can find is just takes a few feet to get. Oh, that was on the drop, that one. Oh, that little drop. One little chuck now, and then wasn't really concentrating then. Next bite I miss, I will come back and feed. There's obviously fish in the area now. Last thing I want to do is just see if I can get a fish out the peg and then feed again. I feel that really helps if you do catch one. Just the last thing you want is for fish to be in your peg and you start feeding over the top and flicking your rig, and that's when you can get foul hookers and spook the fish out your peg. One little last shot, that was a little dink that was, so I missed one now, I'm just going to come back and feed. So the fish just come in little packs and then they'll be gone again. That's where you just need to keep control of that potting in. Making sure to strike at the right indications as well, and reading the flow, that's really important. Need to feed, try and concentrate on my little area. Show my hook baits I've got. Poles off. Put 2 maggots on. I'm not going to feed too many. There's probably 10 to 15. So it's just been a nice interesting match. I do feel like I've left a few fish in the peg, but like I say, it's one thing while we come. Just make sure you try and eke out as much as you can next time. Still lose feeding that right hand line, just in case something goes peak tongue here, but I want to concentrate and be nice and steady and accurate. Yeah, that's about the drop. So that there is like, because there's a fish, I was trying to look at the time, because there's a fish in my peg, won't be surprised if this falls off. Like I said before, just felt there's a fish in my peg, give me a sign indication, and then fed right on top of him again, so hopefully when I go back in next chuck, I can literally feed a little bit of bait, wait a minute or so, 90 seconds or so. That's a good F1, nice F1. 90 seconds or so and then boom, we'll get one. But if I start to foul hook the odd one, I'd loads go through the mouths today. Do foul hook the odd one, then that's when I would look to loose feeders, just to spread them out a little bit. But see, when could have easily just gone back in, missed a couple of bites, and just because I set a little target, obviously a bit of fresh bait going in the peg, just fish just homing on it. Not too much bait as well. That's one important, just try and get enough there. Dump your pot, keep everything in. Try and ship out a little bit quicker, but weather's took a turn for the... Always after the rain at the end of the match, doesn't it? Been lovely all day. Oh, I want to flick that down my peg. Now keep everything tight, so when that rig's falling through the water, say if I start to get bites on the drop, that's when I will look to loose feed, but probably a little bit too late in the day to start changing things like that. So I just want to keep everything nice and tight, nice and accurate. Try and make the most of this little ending. It's a good little peg this one if the fish do feed, because you've got different variations of depths. It's quite narrow, so when the fish do come in your peg, they're not all over the place, where like, obviously it's a lot wider in certain areas of the canal, but this is only probably 14 metres wide. So like I said, when the fish do come in your peg, when they are here, it's a little dig there. Just a nice little peg to fish. But I've an enjoyable match. It's been quite tricky to catch him. Obviously, you're going to want to win all the time, but I just feel like I've had a good match. I've learnt a little bit. Obviously, I'm not going to make the main frame, but it's all about them little learning in the edges of making sure when when it's important you've got all this in your armoury. And obviously it's not a bad day's fishing, hopefully I can get to 40 odd pound, especially this time of year. See, it's gone through again as well. Get to 40 odd pound, it's nothing to be sniffed at this time of year. Obviously there are a few changes. I think them hooks have quite the sharp, they go in very well. A few changes and a few things. You could have maybe put £50 in a net or cut a little bit more, but I don't feel like we'll. Same again, bit samey, but small little pot. 15 maggots, if that. Crazy as well, the bites, like you feel like they'd slam it under, but I've literally dotted that down and I've put some bristle grease on it and it's still literally just a small little tap on the float. Loose feed that left hand, not right hand line. Keep everything tight. That was a dill dink. Didn't seem right. See how fast they can catch them when they do come in your peg. But just trying to keep it all nice and smooth and still. Let's try and glide him up. Oh, it's a proper one. Hey, look at that one. They're the ones we want. Why couldn't we catch like 30 of them? That's a proper brute of that. Hooks just come out. That's a proper one, that one. That's what he did used to catch on this peg down the middle. Years ago. Well, as they've got bigger, they've seen to further live around the lake, but so to keep that pot filled up. So it's been an enjoyable match. Done a few different things. I've done a bit of dobbing, a bit of pellet fishing, which I wanted to do. Like I said in the thing, I feel like I wanted to work on that. And a bit of maggot fishing, which I do love this style of fishing, especially when they eat it. Especially like down the middle, like 30 metres here, it's perfect. Obviously the only thing missing now is obviously loose feeding and catching shallow. But maybe it's a sign of things changing. Seen a few more F1s feeding. Been quite a difficult start to the year. But with like weather sort of wise, but hopefully. Say you don't mind the fishing if you can obviously do stuff and attack your peg. It's them days where you've just got dobbing or nothing, which they've been a bit of a case, but luckily I've been on the right side of them in the past few weeks. Some hard days fishing when the fish aren't feeding, but say the fish start feeding and pellets come into it. I feel like we've learned a lot about that today. Obviously big floats, big shot by your hook, short hook lengths. Be nice and accurate with him potting rather than a bit of baiting. Obviously loose feeding maggots. Obviously fed this line for a good while without going on it, just build up confidence. Just trying to time your match to drop on it not too early. So if you drop on it with, let's say, like an hour to go, you might run out of fish with 20 minutes to go. But I dropped on this with like 40 minutes to go, just having enough. Nice little run to end. I feel like if you can drop on it too early, you can just run out of fish, and sometimes you'll foul look an odd one and you'll think, I'll just stay on it, and sometimes it's not the best place to be. I just took that one off. Foul that one. So that could be a case of it's starting to thin out a little bit. Was fouled, it had a little scale as well. A weird sort of bite anyway. But we didn't lose it in the peg, so. Got time to get another? Yeah, 4 minutes. Of course we have. Get one more. it's weird, this peg here to the left here is probably like probably 8 inches shallower than it is to the right. It just makes them fish a little bit easier to catch. Obviously the deeper the water, the harder they are to catch sometimes, because the fish coming off the bottom you have to be really careful. But like I said, I feel like most of my fish, I know from past experience, will come from the left. So that's why it's not been annoying that peg 44's in, but it just cuts you off a little bit. If it takes your fish, any fish that want to linger in there and drift down, can make this peg really good. But say I can't moan, I've had some bites and I thought I was going to get cut off more than they have done, but obviously early on there was some dobbing fish across which I've had to fish 16 metres to the left, and I feel like I'd have to do that anyway. I don't feel like they sit in this channel anyway. The only hope to do a little bit bumper weight was maybe hook an odd carp to the right or something, but you can't rely on that. But as soon as you've fed, you've caught steady away, fishing with pellets. Obviously trying to put the right one on the hook, smaller 2mm, normal's 4mm. How much to feed, that's what we need to work out. Haven't put any ground bait in today because I didn't feel like we needed it. So you can't fish too many lines across just because you don't want to spread the fish out and make it harder for yourself. But see, this is what I was talking about. If there's not enough, probably at the limit now of where probably if I fouled another fish, probably could have timed that. I could have gone on that a tiny bit later, but I wouldn't say I've timed it perfect. But losing that fish just sometimes can be the case that you just run out of fish. So you imagine now if I went on that with like an hour to go. Oh, when's that one off? Went on that with an hour to go. And I have to wait a little bit longer. I've been the last 20 minutes where I feel like you can obviously find sometimes that you haven't got long enough to drop onto another line to build that quick run up. That's where you need like probably at least half an hour like late on to try and catch it. So that's the thing about peg management. Don't be wrong, I could catch across, but I couldn't catch this quick across. I was getting regular bites across, but I was missing a few bites in it. So it's like 14.5 metres, you have to be very, very accurate. As where this, I obviously can be accurate, but I can be a little bit quicker because of maggots. I can strike a little bit harder. The bait's not going to come off. Try and get the bait in the peg, I've only probably got, no, I've got seconds. I don't feel like I'm going to get one now. If I do, it'll be on the drop. No. So, there we go. That's the end of the match. It's been interesting. We've had an odd bite, so we can't moan at that one, but yeah, it's been interesting. I feel like I learned a bit. So we'll get weighed in, see how we do. I feel like there's going to be a few good weights on the lake, so we'll see how far behind we are. What we could have done a little bit different. I feel like we've done okay, but obviously a few mistakes we've left in the peg, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. We've had a few bites on a few different lines. Hopefully it's been interesting. So we'll get packed up in the rain and then I'll see you. Obviously when I do a little catch up. Right, so that's the end of the match and I've weighed in 44 pounds, so nice day's fishing. He actually wasn't too far off getting in the frame of the lake, to be fair. Al Green's won the lake with 61, then Alan Hughes on peg 20, Alan Green was on peg 6, peg 20 Alan Hughes, he's had 53, Gaz to my left's had 44, not 44, 50 pound on 44, and then obviously I've had 44 pound. So probably a few extra decisions, maybe feeding a little bit earlier could have got us to that 50 odd pound mark, but I've had a great day's fishing, learnt a lot, and it's not been too bad. I thought I was way behind more than I was, which it's a good thing. We caught a few fish, learnt a few things. Now overall, match has been won Stretton by Christian. He's had a 155 pound, I think, peg free, so he's had a mega day's fishing. Just goes to show that Weston's some venue. But yeah, I'm going to get off home now, but that was a mega little live match. Obviously we caught a few dobbing, few feeding on pellets, few feeding on maggots, and to be honest, if I have a bit more of a bottle to feed a little bit earlier and not try and chase them dobbing fish, I think I could have probably caught 50 odd pound just by being a bit more, and not bumping a few off just because I've got smaller hooks, like using size 18s, just taking my time and just getting used to it. So that's what it's all about. Sometimes you've got to make the mistakes to learn, which I feel like I have today. They're not too bad of mistakes, but at least we got them on camera so you can see. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.